First, can you introduce yourself and tell us what brought you here today?
I am Wet'suwet'en Hereditary Chief Na'Moks. I currently sit as the highest ranking chief of the Beaver clan, one of the 5 clans of the Wet'suwet'en Nation. We represent 22,000 square kilometers of unceded, non-treaty lands. We've never signed a treaty, we've never signed a document given any province or the country of Canada any authority to speak on behalf of ourselves, our lands, our air, our very freedoms that we enjoy.
And what are you going to do here today?
Well, if you try to make an appointment with the Prime Minister, you have to do it months in advance. So elected officials were notified on Friday of this meeting, and the deadline was to be Monday. I came anyway because I need to be heard. I was in transit and I got a letter, an email stating, "Oh, we're sorry that we had not notified you of this gathering." If I wasn't on my way, I would not be here right now. I was coming regardless because we need to be heard. We are hereditary. We have never signed anything that would give Canada the right to spoil our resources, our clean water, our salmon, our rights, our title, our freedoms, and remind them that Canada is obligated to UNDRIP, which they're not holding up at this current time. When they put money before humanity, when they put money before freedom, when they put money before the very democracy of this country, we have the right to speak up.
And you were not invited here, correct?
They had sent me one when I was in transit. It was about 11:30 last night, and yeah, for something that is to happen today, I was coming regardless. I don't need Canada's permission or validation to be here to speak the truth and hold them accountable when they want to destroy this country without any input from hereditary or any Indigenous people. If they want to rubber stamp these projects, which are going to add to calamity that this planet is in, we have a right to speak up.
And do you expect to let you in?
Well, that'll be seen now, won't it? The very fact that they waited until after a deadline for me to receive that, and it was sent to my personal email address. It was not sent to the Wet'suwet'en Hereditary Chiefs, it was sent to me after the fact.
What sort of risk does the government run by excluding hereditary chiefs from a process like this?
Well, you have to remember the Delgamuukw court case of December 11, 1997, where the Supreme Court of Canada stated that we had not given up our rights and title. We had not given up our freedom. We had never signed a document saying that either a province or the country will speak on our behalf, and only we will speak on our behalf of our lands, air, water.
I think some of my colleagues might have some questions as well.
Well, you've come here, so if you do get into the meeting, what do you want to say?
Exactly what I stated here. How could they put a rush on something so important to the future history of our children and grandchildren without having the proper rights and title holders in the room? Currently, they are just picking and choosing who sits in that room. They created the band system of chief and council. Our system has been there for thousands of years. The name I carry is thousands of years old. I have a duty to uphold that. They should be having a duty to be held accountable for their actions. Why would they have something like this when already we know they have a predetermined outcome? That regardless of who says what, they want to kill this planet, this country, this democracy that we live in. We have a right to stand up. We have a right to be heard, and we will be speaking.
Is there anything that you could hear from the Prime Minister? I know he's not here today, but he's going to be here tomorrow. Is there anything you could hear from him or from one of the ministers in the room that would turn things around?
At this point in time, I think the only thing that will turn around is when Indigenous people stand up together and challenge what they want to do to this country, challenge what they want to do to this planet, and remind them that Canada is on the world stage. They have this great reputation of freedom and democracy. Come live here. When in fact, if you live here, you don't get a voice. We've never given up our authority or jurisdiction on our land. We never will. But how do we hold them accountable unless other people stand with us?
If you do get a chance to address the Prime Minister, what would you say?
Be human. We didn't put this country in a deficit. They did. You know, the biggest deficit we currently have in this country is a moral deficit, not a financial one. They got to be held accountable. You cannot allow another country to tell this country what to do. It's the same way as our law. Our nation cannot tell another nation what to do, and yet Canada is trying to tell us what to do. Look what we experienced through Coastal GasLink, the militarized police, the police state we lived in. To defend a petro state? How is that democratic? How could the world let this happen? And why would a prime minister come and tell us what they're going to do? They're not asking us. They're demanding this will happen regardless. They're simply steamrolling this through. Where is the accountability? Where was the discussion that happened for them to make this decision and say that we don't have a right to speak up?
I'm wondering what you would say to Canadians right now about, broadly, like Indigenous people or First Nations people's concerns about the legislation and what they might not be fully understanding about what you're all gathered here for and what you are saying about the legislation.
Well, first of all, I want to apologize for being a little unsteady. I've been up 40 hours to get here. So what would I say to other people? Stand up, speak up. We're supposed to live in a democratic country. We're supposed to have elected officials that stand up for us, not an industry that is going to kill the future of this planet. When we say we want clean water and freedom, we should have it.
Sir, there are dozens and dozens of leaders, of Indigenous leaders here for this gathering. How many more leaders would have made it legitimate? Because you seem to say you've not been invited, it doesn't make the whole endeavor legitimate. What must be done to make this legitimate?
Why not more of the traditional government? Why not more of the hereditary system? We represent clans, houses, and nations. There should be more. And plus, it should not be put out there on a Friday to respond by Monday. That's not right.
You talk about democracy, but isn't it that hereditary chiefs are not in the democratic system as opposed to maybe band leaders that are elected? What do you answer to that?
How would you describe democracy? Would democracy be something that's set up for people for centuries? Or something, in our case, have an elected government for less than 150 years in our land?
All right, thank you very much, everybody. Is going to go try and make an entry now.
Thank you.